What's going on, folks? This is Clark Fahrenthold back with VegasOdds.com. Normally when you see my face, we're talking college football, NFL, spread lines, over-under, maybe some player props mixed in there. But today, I want to draw your attention somewhere else. I'm going to be looking at a future bet for where Lamar Jackson is going to end up next season in the NFL. I believe last night after the loss to the Bengals, that's the last time we see Lamar and the Ravens associated with one another. I think that bridge is broken. I know a lot of people have pointed out that early on, Detroit could be a possible landing spot. Atlanta's trying to clear up cap space. The Raiders could be in on it. But the team that I like the most at plus 300 is the New York Jets. I'm going to walk you through my thinking, let you know why I think Lamar ends up in green and white. Before we get to the Jets, I want to look at some of the other teams and explain why I don't think those landing spots are really viable. Starting with Detroit. I think that fit would be perfect, but the reality is that Detroit has no real cause to move off of Jared Goff right now. They were a good team last year. Goff played extremely well, and I have a hard time believing some team will take on Goff's contract. I just don't see that fit landing up for them in Lamar. As well, with Atlanta, I question whether or not Lamar would want to sign long-term there. If you look at it overall, while Atlanta has a lot of cap space, I don't know if there would be as much mutual interest. And if you can't sign the guy long-term, what's the point of making the trade? And the Raiders, I question if the money's available and if there'd be much interest there too. The Raiders have so much money tied up in guys like Gruden, who's been gone, thank God, and McDaniels, who's completely incompetent. So I think ultimately from that standpoint, those three teams for those reasons aren't really in my mind feasible. Now let's get back to the Jets. The Jets, this is all about the fit. If you want to take it from a player personnel standpoint, the Jets have everything Lamar could want. On the defensive side of the football, this is a team littered with all pros. You have great players like CJ Mosley. You have young studs and already all pros like Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. And also, you have a head coach that you would say probably the other teams I mentioned, maybe outside of Dan Campbell, is the most competent of the group. Robert Saleh is a good head coach. He's young. He's promising. Him and Lamar can grow together and grow this Jets dynasty that it could become. As well, on the offensive side of the football, this Jets team would probably give Lamar the most he's had to work with ever in his career. I know Mark Andrews has been nice in Baltimore, but reality-wise, outside of that, Rashad Bateman's been hurt all the time. With the Jets, he'd have a all-pro looking wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. He'd have other nice complementary pieces like Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. As well, in the backfield, he'd be getting Breece Hall back, which would be huge for that Jets running game with him and Lamar there. As well, you could have Michael Carter. There's a surplus of very high-skilled options the Jets possess in terms of personnel. Another really big reason I think the Jets make this move is because I think GM Joe Douglas knows they have to do it. They're falling behind the other team that plays in that same stadium as them and the New York Giants. That team's in the NFC divisional round right now. No one expected that. Right now, the Jets are falling very far behind the Giants. They need to catch up. Lamar is that guy that allows them to soar back up into being the same number one team in New York, which it's always about in that market. So for that reason, I think the Jets need to make this move. I think the Jets make this move. I think they get Lamar. They sign their guy. You know they're going to play their players in New York. That's just how it gets done. So expect to see Lamar in some green and white next season. I love this at plus 300. I think you guys should too. So for VegasOdds.com, I'm Clark Fahrenthold. We'll see you in the Meadowlands next season, Lamar.